Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about decorating your living room with plants. So we're going to have a tour of my living room, but first I'm going to tell you the things that I consider or the styling techniques that I used in decorating my living room with plants. First is symmetry. The way that I apply symmetry in styling my living room is by identifying the size and height of plants that will give balance to each corner or each side of the room. So for example, on both sides of my television, I have one tall Kentia palm on one side, and on the other side I have plants like my bird of paradise that are on top of my antique drawers, so they look as tall as my Kentia palm. So the way that I work symmetry is not exactly, I don't follow symmetry to a T, but instead, as long as there is a balance. For example, just because one side is a tall Kentia does not mean that the other side should immediately or should also be a tall Kentia. For me, it's playing with the position of the plants. I can put one plant on a stand and then give it more height. If I take a step back and I take a look at the effect, I just I would say I just eyeball it. All right. And another thing that I apply symmetry in my living room is with colors or mixing antiques with modern decors. So for example, if one side I have an antique cabinet, the other side of the room will also have an antique furniture in the same color. Or if I have gold mirror on one side, on the other side of the wall I have paintings with gold frames. So that's how I inject balance and symmetry to my living room. Number two is making sure that the colors that I use to complement my plants are in a cohesive theme. I don't have tons of decors in my living room. If you remove all the plants in my living room, it's going to be an empty room except the TV, the sofa, my antique cabinet, my mirrors, and my treasure drawers. The rest are plants. But I carefully choose the pots that I use. I put some thought to the pots that I use for my plants so that when you look at them as a group, as a whole, there is cohesiveness in their colors. So I stick with white pots, gray and white stone pots, some dark colored baskets like dark brown, which matches my antique furniture. It's basically a mix of modern white and antique dark brown and boho. A bit of bohemian through my baskets and my woods. In terms of my stools and bamboos for my son's folding table and and chair. So I stick with these colors. It's mostly earthy tones mixed with white. In order to have a cohesive design, you choose colors that are in the same group or they complement or contrast each other. In order for the space to look effortless, you shouldn't be hardcore with your color matching. What's important is that when you look around the space, you feel like they belong together. But it's just a subtle hint of colors. Like if you turn to the right, there's a dark brown accented with some white and gold, and then you turn to your left and you'll see that on the corner there's a dark brown jar mixed with some baskets. It's just injecting the color around the room. in an effortless manner so that you still get to play with it and you still show your personality in your space. The third styling technique that I applied in my living room is using mirrors. There are three goals that I get to achieve by designing my living room with mirrors. First, I create an illusion of a bigger space. With mirrors, you easily achieve that because of the reflection. The eye gets to think that the space is bigger than it actually is. And second, I also use mirrors to reflect light because I really like my space to be bright. I get depressive when it's dark or gloomy, and here in Germany, it's winter is too long and gloomy days are too long. So I use mirrors to amplify, or you would say, um, by reflecting light, my eyes think that I have more light than there actually is. And third, which is my favorite, mirrors mirror the plants. So when you have, for example, the fronds of my cantia, they look so gorgeous in the mirror when they're reflected. I love the effect. Fourth, I play with big and small plants. I love big plants because of the attitude that they bring to the room. They're stand out. When you come in a room, you will immediately notice a big plant. But there are also lots of small plants that I adore. So I like to mix bigger and small plants. And when I put the smaller plants beside the big plants, it's like a group of girls, with different personalities and sizes, but they look good together and they're happy together. Fifth, I have to invest in nice pots. It's about your personality. It's about how do you want your space to look, right? So I have a certain taste when it comes to pots. When I go to a store to shop for pots, I have an idea of how I want my space to look. But when I'm in the store, I just know once I see the pot if it will fit in my room or not. Before, I like the really clean texture and uh, clean white pots, but as I get to have more plants, I realize that it gets boring to have all white, like shiny white pots. So I started to add textured pots. Textured pots are, I would say, now are my favorite. And then I also have a really nice baskets that also add the boho flair. I don't want my space to look too modern or too antique or too boho. I want a mix of all these gorgeous flares. But I also would say that the best color for pots would be white or dirty white or white with gray or any pot that is simple and light and not a lot of prints because they let the plant stand out. They are accent to the plant, but they don't take away the focus or the attention from the plant. I like simple pots that are also elegant and stylish. Number 6, I don't use curtains in my living room. Actually, in all rooms in my condo, I don't hang curtains. Well, except in my kitchen, I have a small curtain there, but it's for privacy reason. And that curtain is only half the window because I want all the possible light that can come in. The light makes my plant happier. If I hang curtains, they are going to cut the amount of light that will come in. So I don't use curtains, but instead I decorate my windowsill with plants that are about the same height, so my windows don't look empty, but also they don't look messy. But right now my windowsill is full because of all sorts of veggies that I'm trying to propagate. Otherwise, once the summer is there and I can bring out all my baby plants outside, then I like to keep my windowsill neat and clean because I don't have curtains already, so it's it's my pots and my plants that will take all the attention. And number 8, I like to keep my living room white. I prefer to have a white background. The plants or any plants will really stand out. You will really see the gorgeous green when it's against white background. So I'm not a fan of dark walls. You know, some people, they paint their walls dark green, or they put bright colored, busy printed wallpapers. I'm not a fan of it because I like my wall to be like an empty canvas. It gives me flexibility on how I can decorate, what kind of plants, pots, and picture frames that I can hang on my wall. I have more flexibility if my walls are white. But of course, each one his or her own. If you like dark colored walls, that's fine. This is just how I see it, and this is my taste, my personal preference. And number 9, we mounted our television against the wall. So we have I don't know what's the size of our TV, but it's quite a big TV. So when my husband mounted the TV on the wall, it gave me a lot of space under the TV for my potted plants. It just frees up a lot of space in the room. So mounting the TV is a good decision if you have a small space and you want to maximize your space. I really enjoy decorating my living room with plants. It's like my paradise, the place where I like to hang out at the end of the day when I'm tired. I like to stretch out on my sofa, enjoying the beauty around me in my living room. And now let's have a tour of my living room.